There was once a young boy, Kurt, who lived in Feather Tree Village. Unlike his neighbours, he had no trees, flowers or animals in his yard, only dirt. The shed stood all alone in the bare and lifeless backyard. One night, Kurt awoke suddenly. He had dreamt a vivid dream. It was as if an invisible force, like a giant vacuum, was sucking him into a faraway place. There, a rusty iron bridge led to a giant factory, which had the king's gold emblem painted on its front doors. In the dream, he found himself digging deep into the ground at the entrance of the factory until he found these special colourful daffodil seeds. Night after night, the daffodil seeds would find their way into Kurt's dreams. During the day, he would imagine him travelling through the howling wind towards the factory. Kurt felt that he must search for the seeds. Leaving his family and friends behind, he set off on his donkey. He loved the wind rushing through his hair and exploring the forest that he passed. Kurt rode further and further without really knowing where he was going. As time passed, the rocky hills over which he was riding appeared endless, and Kurt began to wonder whether this may have been a silly idea. Eventually, a strange-looking girl emerged from the woods and came towards him. She had no legs and was walking on her hands. "Do you know where the king's factory is?" asked Kurt. The girl directed Kurt to a large dead tree. "Climb as high as you can, and when you get to the top of the tree, look for the dark clouds." Kurt asked the friendly girl to mind his donkey as he climbed towards the highest branches. When he reached the top of the tree, he found himself looking out directly at the factory from his dream with its rising smoke in the distance. Kurt climbed with excitement down from the tree and swung himself into the saddle of his donkey. He thanked the young girl as she watched them ride off into the distance. As Kurt rode further away from Feather Tree Village, the trees began to look shriveled and the colours of the forest became less vibrant. Even the scarecrows appeared sad and were weltering. Soon Kurt reached an old town, a thick, dirty swamp known as Potok. The donkey kept getting stuck in the mud, so Kurt would pull Osborne by the bridle and lead him out of the sludge. Kurt rode by day and by night, in the sun and in the rain, and allowed himself only the most necessary stops for food and sleep. When Kurt slept, he would dream of the daffodil seeds. The ground was becoming only pebbles and dust, and no living animals or insects could be seen or heard. The only noise that Kurt could hear were the echoes of the marching armoured guards in the distance. Following the sounds of the marching, Kurt finally caught a glimpse of the rusty iron bridge. However, it was heavily guarded and surrounded by barbed wire. The watchful eyes of the factory guards allowed little opportunity to set foot near the bridge. Kurt decided to camp close to the factory. He was exhausted from having travelled for so long, but he could not fall asleep because of the toxic smell in the air from the factory's fumes. Every day, Kurt spent hours pacing back and forth near the entrance to the bridge, waiting for the opportune moment to cross it. One of the guards approached Kurt. He grabbed Kurt by his coat and screamed, "Why have you camped here for so long? Everyone is suspicious." Petrified, Kurt blurted out the story of his dream. When he finished, the guard, who had been containing his amusement, broke into uncontrollable laughter. Kurt looked on in bewilderment. "What a foolish child you are, believing in dreams. If I let my life be guided by dreams, I would be well on my way back to Feather Tree Village. For just last night I dreamt a poor boy in that city has no garden, but buried beneath his shed is something magical." On the journey home, Kurt was disappointed in himself. He was unsure as to why he had given up on his dream so easily. Returning to Feather Tree Village exhausted, his curiosity about the words of the factory guard led him to dig a hole in his shed. Kurt dug deeper and deeper until eventually his shovel hit a small wooden box. He opened the box. Lying inside were 3 ordinary small black seeds. With nothing more to lose, Kurt decided to plant the seeds in his muddy yard. He wondered about the seeds every day, watered them, but was frustrated that nothing grew. One morning, something changed. He noticed a tiny orange sprout poking through the soil. The stem began to emerge from under the soil and grow in front of his eyes. Bizarre little fruits were sprouting all along the stem, and they ripened quickly and exploded, scattering new seeds everywhere. From the new seeds grew other herbs and shrubs. Within minutes, a whole new world surrounded Kurt. Giant trees filled the garden. Their sap tasted like chocolate mousse. The fruits had all these strange but sweet tastes. Kurt was overjoyed with his garden. Some of the plants looked like peacock tails, so colourful and exotic. Others were so transparent that he could see straight through them. The spiders weaved sweet-smelling clothes, and the thick, glistening ivy which grew around him made for the perfect necklace and bracelets. Balloons were growing on some of the trees, and Kurt picked one of the balloons and felt himself rising to the top of the garden. There was such a breathtaking view from up there. Kurt watched as his garden below grew denser and became more colourful as seeds continued to fall in all directions. When Kurt looked down at his beautiful garden, he realised that the magic was always in his possession, yet he had to journey far away to know of its place.